Welcome back, everybody. I'm Marc Dunham, the executive chef at the Atherton Hotel and Ranchers Club. Today I'm going to show you how to cook two different rice dishes that go great with poultry or fish. Do you know that there were over 10,000 varieties of rice worldwide? Luckily today we're only dealing with two. The first one that we'll talk about is just your typical long grain American rice that you can find at the grocery store. Very inexpensive. Try to buy this stuff in the bag like we showed you at the beginning in the first session, and not the stuff already boxed up. And then we're going to talk about some brown rice, and I'll talk a little bit more about brown rice as we go along. But let's get started with the first one. We're going to start a very basic dish called rice pilaf. And the first thing we need to do is to grab a standard yellow onion and trim off the end pieces here. And then we're going to go back and make nice thin slices about 1/8 of an inch apart. Then we're going to turn the onion to the side and slice inwards to the onion, creating a couple of different levels. So I move those side pieces away, and then we're just going to come back and cross cut to make a nice small kind of a mince of yellow onion there. I'm going to go ahead and cut all of this because we're going to use it both for the rice pilaf and for the brown rice. All right, so now that we've got that taken care of, get this out of the way. Got a couple of pots preheated over here. The first one we're going to start for the rice pilaf. All you need for this is a little bit of butter, and don't worry about how much. Again, we're talking about method here and not recipe. We'll have the recipes posted, so if you're confused, you can go to the website later and find out just how much butter I put in. So a little bit of butter that we're going to sweat down the onion, plus a little bit more that we're going to use to coat the grains of rice. So as soon as that whole butter gets melted, we're going to take about half of this portion of onion that we've got here, put it right in the pot for the rice pilaf. Now it's important when you're putting the onions in to go ahead and season them right at the beginning so that you get a little bit of seasoning inside the onion. And what you want this to do is just to sweat down the onion. And what that means is you want to have enough heat to cook the onion to make it soft and translucent, but you don't want to have so much heat that you're adding color to the onion and caramelizing it. So this will cook anywhere from 5 to 8 minutes generally, depending on how high you have your heat. We're going to go ahead and pretend like it's already softened up. And what I'm going to add to this is 1 bay leaf, which you can buy to the store, and 1 cup of our standard long grain American rice. Don't make this recipe with parboiled rice or instant rice because it won't work. In goes the rice. Going to take our spoon and stir up the rice grain so that the fat coats all of the grains. We don't have to toast this, but we certainly do have to make sure that the fat coats all of the grains. Now here's an important thing to remember when you're cooking rice. You need to start out with hot liquid. I've got chicken stock, and just use the chicken stock in a can. If you don't want to make it fresh, it's fine. I've got chicken stock back here on the burner that's nice and hot, and what we're going to add is about 1 3/4 of volume of liquid to the dry that we started out with. So if we started out with a cup, we're going to add 1 3/4 cups of hot chicken stock to the pot. Okay, we'll save the rest for the brown rice that's coming in a minute. And here's the next crucial step. Rice, just like the potatoes we talked about last week, have kind of one chance to get seasoning on the inside, and that's at the beginning. Don't stir too much after you've added the stock because the butter will settle off of the rice and then you won't get those flaky grains. So the easiest way to judge this is just take a spoon and taste the liquid. If it tastes bland, add some salt. Now be careful about adding salt if you're using the canned chicken stock from the store. I added about 1 teaspoon there. I'm going to add just a pinch of white pepper. Then I'm going to turn the burner completely off for just 1 second, and I'm going to take my foil lid, and I'm turning the burner off so I don't burn my hands with the actual flame there. Take a towel. If you've got nice pots at home where you have lids, then use the lids. You don't have to use foil. They've just given me a very low budget. So now I go back with the flame and it's going to come to a simmer. You already have an oven that should be preheated to 350 degrees. As soon as you see steam coming off, you're going to pop that guy in the oven, put your timer on for 19 minutes. 19 minutes every time, no matter if it's a cup of rice or quart of rice. Let's quickly move on to the brown rice. This is even easier, but it takes longer. Brown rice is a whole grain. In goes the butter. So with a whole grain, you've got the bran on the outside, which is its protective coating. You've got the germ, which houses all the oils. And you've got the endosperm, which is the actual polished rice, which is what that is. Steam's coming off here. I'm going to open up the oven. In goes the rice. Once the door closes, set your timer 19 minutes. It's good to go. So now that we've got the butter in and it's melted, I'm going to scoop out a cup of brown rice here and get it ready. We're going to go back in with some onions. You can add just about any kind of flavoring aromatic, onions, carrots, celery, bell peppers, anything, but you want to add it at the beginning. You want to get the essence of what you're cooking out into the pan so that while you're cooking this brown rice, you don't get those raw flavors in the liquid. So again, we're going to pretend like this is a little more advanced than it actually is and everything is soft. Oh, almost forgot. A little bit of salt. In goes the brown rice. Now with this particular rice, you don't have to worry about coating it so much because all we're going to do is simmer this. Now the simmer time for brown rice is about 50 minutes to an hour. The liquid ratio is much different. It's not 1 3/4, it's more like 4 to 1. So if we've got a cup of rice, then we need to make sure we have roughly a quart of liquid, and that worked out really well. So in goes the liquid. You want to bring this to a full boil. And again, just like with the rice pilaf, go back in and taste the liquid. If it doesn't taste like it's seasoned, then you need to put seasoning in it immediately. And again, that's pretty bland. So we're going to put a little bit of salt in. Keep in mind though, with this, you don't want to put too much salt because you're going to keep reducing the liquid. So I put about, in that spot, about half a teaspoon. So here it is at a full boil. The key to this, turning it down and letting it simmer slowly. If you cook it too quickly, you're going to evaporate the liquid and the rice isn't going to cook. If you cook it too slowly, you're going to cook the rice, but you're going to have a whole lot of liquid left over. So we've got some brown rice that has already been finished up that I'm just going to put a quick reheat. And the way that I like to finish the brown rice is to either add a little bit of butter or a little bit of olive oil and some type of herb. So real quickly, I'm just going to take some parsley and give it a rough chop. If you like it a little bit finer, that's fine. If you like basil, again, goes back to what you like the most or what your family likes. I like parsley, so that's what we're going to use. So I'm going to give this rice a little bit of a stir here. And then I'm going to finish it with just a couple of cubes of butter. And that couple of cubes of butter is going to kind of help add a little bit of fat texture and kind of round out almost the broth that this rice has created by itself while it cooked. These couldn't be any easier to make at home. The things that you need to remember are temperature control, and remember that you control the temperature. If it gets too hot, pull it off the burner or turn it down, and use the appropriate size pot for what you're cooking. Don't try to cook a cup of rice in a container that should be held for chicken stock or something. So in a quart container, something smaller is perfect. All right, so the brown rice looks like it's ready. So we're just going to plate a portion of this. And you can see it's got a little bit of kind of brothy texture to it. This is also very healthy for you, so your mom will like this. A little bit of brothy texture, almost like, I'm not going to say, well, I will say almost like a risotto, but it's not the same. And then some chopped parsley, and that part is done. If you like cheese, Parmesan cheese, that would go great with Parmesan cheese. The next one we're going to plate is the finished rice pilaf. The important thing about the rice pilaf is to make sure that after it comes out, that you give it a second to let some of the steam off. And then after that, you're going to go back in and basically fluff the rice a little bit. And typically you use a fork to go back in. You can use the back of a spoon. You just want to fluff the rice a little bit. And you notice how those grains are coming apart and they're not sticking like, say, like a sushi rice or a sticky rice. That was because we added the butter at the beginning of the cooking process and we didn't disturb it while we were cooking it. If you stir it too much, those grains are not going to be separated. And you can see how these grains are falling apart. Your basic rice pilaf is nothing more than butter, onions, classically no bay leaf at all, but I added just a little bay leaf, and a little bit of chicken stock. A little bit of parsley garnish. And there you have it. Those are two easy rice dishes that you can certainly do at home. One's extra special healthy for you. The other one is just as tasty. So give it a try. Thanks for joining us on Play With Your Food.